We're taking a day as a 0 day here at Olallie Lake Resort, and it's just a beautiful morning, sitting here at the picnic table figuring out what food we need for our next segment and admiring Mount Jefferson. This is a very quiet resort because there's very little services here, practically no. I'm not even sure they really have electricity to speak of in the store. There's no motors allowed on the lake, so it just has a very quiet feel to it. We're enjoying our 0 here at Olallie Lake Resort, just kind of taking a walk. Wanted to go over to the campground and see what that looked like. This place really is very rustic. They're running their generator right now. He said they run it once a week or so to fill up their water, tank. And other than that, they operate pretty much without electricity. Maybe battery operated lights and things in their cabins. They have kerosene lamps and wood stoves, and I don't know exactly what you do for water. I don't know if they have water pumps or what, but maybe it's gravity. Maybe it's gravity feed. But it's really kind of a rustic resort out of the 1930s. They rent these old wooden rowboats out here, which we're thinking of renting a little bit later today and going out on the lake. If you want to unwind, switch, not have the devices, etc., this seems like a nice place to come. There are some picnic tables up there. I assume those are some other campsites. You can see how close the fire got to the campground here. This fire was in 2021, I think. Once again, we're doing the boat thing. This time with a rowboat. No motors allowed on this lake. We're taking the rowboat out for an hour just to enjoy a little bit of time on the lake. Saying goodbye to the Olallie Lake Resort. It's an overcast morning this morning and seems really dark, but we should be able to walk out without headlamps.
This is a new sign. We haven't seen a sign like this before.
Springs Indian Reservation.
Okay. I think I see a bear. It's Smokey!
I almost feel like this is a nature walk for children. This looks like it was once a very nice campsite. This is the Lameti Meadows campsite, but all these downed trees. I mean, I guess you could still camp here, but there's still standing dead trees, so it's not a very comfortable place to camp. It's too bad they don't keep these areas cleared out. We just came across this clear cut here and are plunging once again into the deep dark forest of Oregon. Today has been a day walking through the forest, for the most part a live forest, which is nice. And as we look out over here, I think there's a few dead trees, maybe burnt trees over there, but for the most part it's a nice green alive forest, which is nice to see. but it hasn't been that much to video, so we really haven't videoed that much. We're camping here at the Warm Springs River. This is like 2 miles further than we intended to go, so this has actually been a 19-mile day, which is the longest we've done in a while, if not forever. I don't know. The river has this nice little log bridge across it. And I hear the water's cold. We haven't had to pull any water yet, but we will before we go to bed tonight. There's a group of women here who are, we saw leave Olallie Lake Resort yesterday, wondered which direction they were going. I guess now we know. And they've really taken up a lot of the sites, but we were able to find a place for our tent, but it's very crowded. We're right over here. Got up at our usual 5 o'clock. It's, I don't know, close to 6. We're getting ready to hit the trail. Very crowded camping area last night. This was a big tree that fell down. Old growth. In contrast to yesterday, we have a sunny day, but it's still kind of chilly. We had our sweaters off, stopped for a break, put them on to sit while we were taking a break, and decided we'd leave them on for the hike. Because, I don't know, it feels like temperature must be, what, low 60s, maybe upper 50s. We're not used to this. We're used to sunny, hot weather of California and the southern part of Oregon. Not used to the Pacific Northwest type weather. We were hiking down the trail and we saw a sign that said Trail Magic this way. And so of course we couldn't resist Trail Magic. And this is quite a setup you've got here. We sure appreciate it.
We appreciate what you guys do for 2,600 miles. That's why we're doing this.
Do you have you done the trail before? Or do you have a family member that's done the trail?
No and no.
It's just, it sounds like
Many years ago, I was reading an English woman's blog, and every day she would put on there hiking the PCT. And one day she said she was eating Ritz crackers, salami, and cheese whiz was her meal after.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to give these guys at least one good meal on their way. Yeah. That's terrible. If your dinner's coming out of 7-Eleven, it's not a good thing. But everybody else.
this is like the best trail magic ever. This is steak with mushrooms and sauteed onions. It looks delicious.
Yeah.
Here's our trail magician. Frying up some, sauteing some mushrooms. We ran into these equestrians.
Did you get the sign?
Yeah, riding around Timothy Lake. There's a horse camp just over here that they offloaded their horses from the trailers on. We're getting our first glimpse of Timothy Lake. We're going to be hiking along the shore of the lake for several miles. Should be very enjoyable. This nice boardwalk is taking us across the north end of Timothy Lake. We have 5 miles, or a little bit less now, to get to our campsite. And we have filled up both of our extra 2-liter bottles We're just trying to calculate whether we really need all that water. We probably don't, but don't like to go without. So here's the north end of, looks like it's got a creek flowing into it. So I guess we probably could have gotten water here at this creek and saved ourselves a few hundred yards. It's a nice looking creek.
That looks like a nice wading creek. We're cooling off on a hot day.
Yeah. It looks like we made the mistake today of carrying water to water. There's a spring at this location, but some far out comments indicated it was hard to find or maybe dried up. So we carried water up here so we wouldn't be without. But it looks like the spring is alive and well, so we needn't have labored up the mountain with our extra 3 liters of water. But it's done now, so we've got our tent up. It's kind of slopey site, and it's also got a lot of dead trees around, but that's pretty much par for the course. So we're going to cook our dinner, get into the tent, and go to sleep. Hopefully. It's buggy here, so we're not going to linger outside of the tent. Getting darker and darker in the mornings. Having to use our headlamps now. Early on in the hike, and actually until just a couple weeks ago, we hardly ever used our headlamps. But now we kind of have to pack up and get ready to go. We're debating whether we need to use them to hike on the trail this morning or if we have enough light to see the trail. But definitely fall is coming. We're approaching Highway 26. Somebody in Far Out commented, I think it was last year, but they said on a Sunday it took them 15 minutes to find a gap in the traffic that allowed them to cross this road. But we're hearing more gaps than that, so hopefully it won't take us that long. At just before 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning, doesn't seem to be terribly busy. We got across with no problem. This looks like a greedy bear. He's swallowing these huckleberries whole and then pooping them out. So how's he getting any food value from them? Oh well.
He eats like Stuart.
We stopped at the Barlow Pass Trailhead parking lot for second breakfast. We have 5.4 miles up to the junction with the trail to Timberline Lodge, and then that trail to Timberline Lodge is about a mile. So what, 6.4, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it is 2,000 feet of elevation gain between here and there. So it'll be a bit of a slog, but we're looking forward to getting there. We weren't actually going to get into government camp today. We were going to camp on the trail just short of that junction I mentioned and then go in tomorrow. But there's supposed to be a big change in the weather, lightning, storm, heavy rain, and we'd rather not spend that out on the trail. So there's a hostel in government camp that we're hoping to be able to stay in. Costs $30 per person per bed. But that includes shower, towels, everything you need for a shower, shampoo, soap,
all the coffee we want,
all the coffee, all the tea we want to drink. Wi-Fi does not include food, but it's cheaper than staying in a hotel. So we're trying to get in there tonight so that we can ride out the storm in comfort and safety. This is our last slog up to Timberline Lodge, but look at the scenery we have while we're huffing and puffing up the hill. What is it, 600 feet and 1.2
that's almost 700.
miles?
690 something.
But we won't even feel that because,
The thing is we're walking
oh yeah, in
through
sand.
sand.
But we won't even feel that because we're going to be in such ecstasy at having this mountain view available to us the whole time. We're going down to Government Camp to stay in the Cascade Ski Club hostel for a couple nights. This is why we didn't want to camp out tonight. We're at the Cascade Ski Club hostel, which they have opened up to PCTers. Other than that, it's only open for members, so we're actually very privileged
Look at the
to
water
be
just
here.
pouring down the street.
But it's hailing and water is cascading down the street, so we're very glad we're not hunkered down in our tent up at Timberline.
It would have been a good test for it, though.
Maybe one it would have failed.